Picture this. You're at a backyard barbecue in Sydney. Someone asks the guy next to you what he does for work. He says something vague. Project management, maybe consulting, something like that. Later, you find out he's worth $12 million. He owns a commercial property portfolio, has shares across 3 continents, and hasn't had a boss in 8 years. But at that barbecue, he looked like everyone else. Drove a 5-year-old Mazda, wore a plain t-shirt, didn't mention any of it once. That's not an accident. That's a strategy. And today, we're gonna break down exactly why wealthy people are private about their money, what they're protecting, and what the rest of us can learn from it. Let's start with the most obvious reason, and it's one most people underestimate. When people know you have money, they want a piece of it. Not always in a sinister way. Sometimes it's a mate with a business idea. Sometimes it's a family member who suddenly needs help. Sometimes it's a financial advisor who appears out of nowhere the moment your circumstances become known. The moment wealth becomes visible, it attracts friction, requests, expectations, resentment, and the wealthier you become, the louder that friction gets. There's a reason the old money families in Australia, the ones who've held wealth across 2 or 3 generations, are almost impossible to find in a gossip column. They figured this out a long time ago. Visibility is a cost, and they're not paying it. Now here's the thing most people don't realize. Privacy isn't just about avoiding awkward conversations at Christmas lunch. It's a genuine financial protection strategy. When you publicly display wealth, you become a target, not just for scammers and fraudsters, although that's real, but for lawsuits, for opportunistic legal claims, for people who see a deep pocket and decide it's worth taking a shot. In Australia, if someone knows you're sitting on $2 million in assets and they have a dispute with you, even a minor one, they have every incentive to lawyer up and push hard because the settlement math works in their favor. A wealthy person often pays out just to make it go away. That dynamic disappears the moment no one knows what you're worth. This is why high net worth Australians structure their assets carefully. Trusts, companies, self-managed super funds, not just for tax efficiency, although that matters too, but because separating your name from your assets creates a layer of protection that privacy alone can't fully provide. The goal is to make it genuinely difficult for anyone to figure out what you own and how much it's worth. And here's where it gets psychological. Wealthy people have usually lived through at least one period where the money wasn't there. A business that nearly collapsed, a market crash that wiped out a chunk of their portfolio, a year where everything went sideways at once. That experience leaves a mark. It teaches you that wealth is fragile, and fragile things don't survive being shown off. There's also something deeper happening. When you've actually built wealth, you understand how it works. You know that $1 million invested quietly compounds into something extraordinary over time, but $1 million spent on signaling wealth, the watch, the car, the renovation, the lifestyle, does the opposite. It compounds into nothing. People who've genuinely built money aren't interested in converting it into status symbols. They've done the math. Math doesn't work. Compare that to someone who's just started earning serious money for the first time. The urge to show it is almost overwhelming. New car, business class, posting about the holiday. It makes sense psychologically. You want acknowledgement. You want people to see that it happened. But that impulse is expensive, and it fades for most people once the novelty wears off or once they've seen what the compounding alternative actually looks like. Now let's talk about something that doesn't get discussed enough: the social dynamics of wealth visibility in Australia specifically. We have a cultural thing here called tall poppy syndrome. If you stick your head up, people want to cut it down. Most countries have a version of this, but Australians have made it something of a national sport. The result is that anyone who's quietly building serious wealth has a very strong incentive to keep it invisible. Not because they're ashamed, but because the social cost of being seen as wealthy in this country is genuinely high. You become the person who's expected to pick up the bill, the person who people stop feeling comfortable around, the person who gets quietly resented for no particular reason other than the fact that you have more. The smartest response to that environment is exactly what most wealthy Australians do. They opt out of the performance entirely. No signals, no announcements, no flex. Just a quiet, normal-looking life with an unusually healthy balance sheet sitting behind it. Now, there's a generational wealth angle here that most people miss. The families who've held wealth for decades aren't just protecting themselves, they're protecting what comes next. If your kids grow up in a household where money is discussed openly and visibly, 2 things happen. First, it becomes a target on their back. Second, it changes their relationship with money in ways that are hard to reverse. Children who grow up knowing the number either become entitled or anxious. Neither produces someone capable of sustaining and growing wealth into the next generation. This is why old money families tend to educate their kids about the responsibilities of wealth without ever revealing the full picture until the time is right. The goal isn't secrecy for secrecy's sake. It's protecting the psychological environment that allows wealth to survive across generations. So, what does this mean for you? Whether you've got $10,000 invested or $500,000, the principles are the same. Stop performing your financial progress. The Instagram post about your investment property, the casual mention of what your portfolio did last month, the new car financed to signal success. Every time you perform form wealth, you're paying a social tax that rarely pays off. You attract the wrong attention, you invite comparison, and you convert potential compounding into status. Keep your financial life between you and the people who absolutely need to know. Your partner, your accountant, your financial advisor. That's it. Everyone else gets a vague answer and a subject chain. And understand that privacy is a form of financial discipline. The decision not to show off is also the decision to keep it growing. The two things are connected. The Mazda in the driveway and the 12 million in the trust aren't separate facts. One is the reason the other exists. The wealthiest people you'll never hear about in Australia aren't hiding because they're embarrassed. They're quiet because quiet works. And they figured that out long before most people even started paying attention. If this changed how you think about money, hit the like button. It helps more Australians find this content. And if you're not subscribed yet, now's the time. Turn on notifications and I'll see you in the next one.